Hello, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to dive into the Bratz shoot I did with Kia, Amy and Monique. And I'm going to run through a couple of edits here. So I've been asked by a couple of people, like, how do you edit these photos? And I'm just going to take a quick dive into my editing basics and what I do and the presets I use, and then just tweaking a few things and how to create a cleaner image that tells a story. Now in this situation, it's not really storytelling because it's more of a model shoot. Where if it was a lifestyle shoot, you could get the model or talent to put themselves in a situation to have more of a story to be told, whether it's a product or a brand shoot, you can set that up. But this is more just a model shoot. So it's storytelling, yes and no, but hey. Anyway, we're gonna dive into this. The screen is recording. So this is Kia, who you would have seen that I shoot with quite regularly. She's a really, really fun bird and she's a great model. She moves well, and that's one thing that really helps if you're looking to try and find models. Just start, and if you don't know any models, just start out with friends, right? Just get friends and get them in front of the camera. It's gonna take time to have them feel comfortable, but it's a really good way to learn, and it'll get you to learn and them to learn. So as you build this relationship with you behind the camera and your friend as a model, and if she's keen to keep on doing it, then you can create this really cool relationship where you can continue to shoot and it'll just only get better and better. So just keep shooting, keep trying to pose models, keep trying to create a story, and the main thing is that you just continue to do it, put in the reps. One of my mentors, Chase Jarvis, says you have to dear it. Deconstruct, emulate, analyze, repeat. That's what I've done with the likes of Finn Beals, Andrew Kearns, Samuel Elkins, Emmett Sparling. They've been my favourite photographers, and I've just studied the way they work. I've studied their composition, their colours, and their storytelling, and I've implemented that into my work. So that's my recommendation for what you should do to try and tweak your work, to improve your work and create better stories. Now I've got Kia here in front of me, and I'm gonna reset this. Okay, so the presets I use is a base preset from Nirav Patel. He is a really, really good wedding and lifestyle photographer. Now I put his on mine, and then I've tweaked it to create my own feel, because I'm shooting a little bit warmer. So if we go to mine here, JB, Nirav Patel. Okay, so there's Kia. So we straight up there's a before, there's an after. It's warmer, it's nice, and I'm liking the colors. I like the color in the blue here. I'm always looking to maybe create a bit more of a film look, I guess. Sometimes I like grain, sometimes I don't. It varies on the style of shoot that I'm doing. First things first, press R, and if we're going to go Instagram, we want to crop it, so we go 4:5. Now I'm a little bit unhappy with the way I've shot this because her elbow's cut off, so we'd want to try and get all their limbs in. Otherwise to me it looks a little bit messy. It looks like you haven't taken the time to compose properly. So have all their limbs in. And the other thing here is, if we crop it off here at her elbow, it looks like she's kind of got no arm past her elbow. So we want to try and either go low, so she's got her arm. Don't cut them off, don't crop them off at the limbs, like at the elbow, at the knee. If you're composing your shot, bring it below or above the joint, and it creates a cleaner image. And it just looks like, I just find it looks a little bit nicer. Now, to me, that's actually too low. You got to sacrifice something, because we want to, personally, I usually try and put the model or talent's eyes in about the top third. Unless it's a portrait, we're going to go around the top third. So that's not a bad crop there. And now we'll just warm it up slightly here. See the temperature on her face. You don't want it too crazy as well. We're going to bring down the highlights, because it's peaking a little bit on her cheek there. And then we'll go the whites, tad, and we'll go before, after, boom, we're looking pretty nice. And blacks to get a bit of contrast on her face. Might even bring that up slightly. Command 8, Okay, so we've got 25 grain there. We're gonna go F and have a look, full screen, which is quite nice. We're going to go Command. This is a very good way of doing it if you want to go Command 2 and it gets you to your curves. Command 3 gets you to your colors. Command 4, Command 1. So we're back. So Command 1 is the main screen. So now we're going to go, might bring the saturation down slightly. Go Command 4, Command 3, and just look at the skin tones. She's a little bit orange there, so we want to bring that back down slightly to about -9, 10. Looks all right. It looks pretty natural. You just want a bunch of subtle edits. You don't want anything too crazy. Okay, so it's just a lot of subtle edits here. So we're gonna go a bit of contrast, moving down here, clarity. We're gonna go, I like to create like a little bit less clarity. Okay, so it's not too sharp. Sometimes I like really nice sharp images for portraits, or when it's right real close to the face. But this one, I'm okay to drop the clarity a little bit. Now, here's a little trick here that I was taught by Emmett Sparling. If you want to see how her eyes are a little bit dark here, so let's try and bring up the colors of her eyes. We're going to go to the brush, we'll go to the brush tool, and we're going to just brush around her eyes slightly to get the color of her eyes in. So we can brush her pupils there, and we'll just go up just gently. Again, it's very subtle. You don't want the eyes glowing. You just want them to look nice, to look subtly the color that they are and a little bit brighter. Now I'll bring up the shadows. And she's got these nice green eyes, so we can accentuate them a little bit by just grabbing this color picker here and just bringing it up slightly to maybe 20%. Looking at that. So if we go then to this little eye, we go before, after, and now we'll just go done, and we'll have a bit of a look. That looks a little bit gnarly. So then we'll go back in, brush, mask, and we'll bring it down because that shadow was a bit crazy. But what can help, that's a little bit nicer, but what can also help is we go 100, and we can put a brush on her face to take away the intensity of the eyes. So we can go a radial filter, and we'll just put a little bit more clarity and exposure on her face, just to brighten it up slightly. Shadows, and then we'll go a little bit of clarity. And it takes away the intensity just from her eyes, because if you are just putting that brush in her eyeballs, it's going to really stand out and it's going to look fake. So to take that away, if her face, or if the subject's face is in the shadow, try and just bring the shadows up, and it takes it away a little bit. Although that's still a little bit intense, to be honest. So it's all about just looking for it and looking what you want to do, what you want to get out of it. See, as I'm going there, she's got these amazing beady eyes with the way she's had her makeup already. So you probably don't need to do too much to it. But I just wanted to bring out her eyes because she has these nice green eyes, and I just feel like it's good to bring those sort of things out. But let's just not make it too crazy. Okay. Yeah, I think that's nice. Before, after, before, after. Now Command 3, we want to just, let's see what we can do with these blues here. I don't want to desaturate the sky too much, so we're just going to bring blues up a little bit. Command 4, see, and you can, these are some, so shadows, highlights. This is like color grading on what you want to do. It creates a nice feeling in the image if you want to really create some blue tones in the shadows or some warmer tones in the highlights. I like to do it sometimes, but you've got to be careful with the skin tones and how, it all depends on how you want to make the image feel. I might move on to another one, but I'm liking the way this looks. Command 3, we'll just get this color picker here and we'll see what this is going to do to a skin. You just click on it, not her skin, sorry, her shirt, because it's a little bit dull. We kind of want to make her pop a little bit, so we sort of bring the saturation up of her shirt, brings the green up, like that. That's cool, done. So with the preset, it's a pretty fast way to edit. I'm just cruising through. I'll start here in Command 1, I'll start in this section here, like the main controls. I'll move through, and sometimes I play with the curves if I want to drop the shadows here, but in this, I don't want an image that's too contrasty. Command Z, it's a bit heavy, and if we move on, I might have just taken away, but you get it, you get the picture. So create images that, create an edit that's just a lot of subtleties added up. You don't want anyone to look at your photos and go, oh, that's way too much, you know, that's way too much color, too much vibrance. You just want to, you know, just have it so it's like clean and not too full on. And that's the way I edit. Now let's move on to this one. It's hard with girls, it's hard with a group of people because you're looking to try and have all their eyes either looking at me or looking at each other, and with the more people that you're shooting, the harder it is with different faces to look right. And what I mean by looking right is like looking natural, or not one of the models having their eyes closed or looking out. So it's quite difficult, I found, with 3 people to try and get it right. But you know, you just got to sort of direct the models right and say hold there, or 1, 2, 3, shutter, you know, pull the trigger. So it's all about coming down to just directing correctly. Now let's move on to one of my other favorite ones. I might just do 2 here. Same thing again with these ones. I've put that preset on, and this is before. If you're gonna do it, this is before. What the hell? This is after, before, after. If you know my work, it's usually pretty warm. If you want to make things look a little bit dreamier, we can go here, and a little bit of a dehaze looks kind of nice. It just takes away some of the, probably reduces some of the contrast, which is nice. I don't like heavy contrast. We can bring that down. The other thing you can do is really cool with this new Lightroom tool is you can go select subject, and the Lightroom detects their subject, and then it highlights. So usually on most of my weddings or lifestyle stuff, if I want the brand or the bag, let's say example for a bag or anything to pop a little bit, I'll select the subject and just give it a little bit more exposure. See, if you go crazy, you can really make it quite light there. But just to make her pop from the background slightly. And we'll go shadows a little bit as well, and then we'll go a bit of clarity on the subject. I'm happy to put clarity on the subject. And as you can see here, I composed it so there's a bit of a leading line here. Kind of eyes just sort of like kind of looking around, looking at this line and then bringing it to her. And I'll try and also shoot the head under or above the horizon. I don't like the neck getting cut off by the horizon, so it's another thing to try and look for. If you're shooting your talent, try not to have the horizon cut off their neck, because I think it looks a little bit messy. And again, it's all these little things as you're composing that add up, with the horizon to the neck, the colors, the leading lines, the composition, what they're doing, the story, and it takes time to just keep. It takes so much time to learn, but it's just, the more you shoot, the more you put in the reps, the more you're going to learn. And you're going to learn about what you want to shoot and the way you want to compose. So you've just got to get out there and shoot again and again and again, because as you bring those photos into your editing room and you're constantly looking at the way you're shooting, and you're thinking, oh, this isn't like my favorite photographer, Andrew Kearns, or anything like that. You're just constantly tweaking the way you want to shoot. And also when you're on a shoot, like, let's create some fun as well. We've got some models that are doing a lot of pose photos, so let's try and get them just giggling and just having a laugh. I think there was a couple of boys that were just to the left of the frame here, and they were just like looking at the girls and they were walking away, and it was quite funny. And yeah, just try and create a bit of fun, and because that's essentially like what the girls want to have. We just all want to have a bit of a fun shoot. It was no pressure. There was nothing. It was just Kia's idea, and she wanted to get out and shoot with her friends, and that's ideally what you want to have. You want to just have fun and learn, and that's what we did. And this is probably one of my favorite shots as we move on here. I don't know why my 16-inch MacBook Pro is slow, which is pretty weird. But this is probably one of my favorite shots. I've composed this through the railing, and it's also, you've got to consider what angle you're shooting at, like the talent or the model. I've dropped my knees a little bit and I'm shooting up towards them. And the reason why I'm doing that, it gives them, the viewer, the subconscious feeling that they're higher, so they're in power. It's the composition of filmmakers when there's different styles of the angle of the camera. So I'm shooting up towards them so they've got the power. So I really like this shot. I'm shooting up, the girls are power. So it's hard to have them all doing exactly like the right thing, but that's okay. She's on a phone, she's just hanging. I've tried to shoot it so there's like a little bit of a sun flare here, which I like. So if we bring this out, so we've got a slight sun flare. The girls are looking good, and it's a pretty cool shot through the railing. And I've cropped it so we've got this light post out, and honestly I think for my YouTube channel I might have jumped into Photoshop and taken out this light pole. But if we go the before, you can see it's like very cool, a lot of shadows on their faces and their body, and the after. So let's reset that and we'll go again. Okay, so JB Nirav Patel puts a good base on it, and we're going to crop it again. We're going to bring this down. We're just going to crop it so it's out of the way. So their heads, like I said, their heads are in the top third of the image. The light pole's out of the way because I like clean images. We want to angle it so it's like reasonably straight. I'm going off that second railing along here, that it is quite straight, and if we go enter there, that's looking good. Now again, I'm always considering what's happening with the crop. Am I cutting off their feet? Kind of am, so we can bring that up a little bit so I'm not cutting off their ankles or at the joint. And then their faces are a little bit dark. So we'll just brighten them all up a little bit here. We'll go a little bit of some exposure. We'll go some highlight. No, we'll just leave that highlights actually. We'll just go shadows, and we'll go clarity. That's usually what I'm doing. Exposure, shadows, and clarity for a subject. And that's looking pretty good. And then sometimes I'm always a little bit cautious about warmth. It's like, is it too warm? It was like late afternoon. It was very warm and glowy, and it just suits the setting. I felt I'm trying to edit to what it actually was. What did it feel like when you were there? And to me, that was what it felt like. And now we're going to just bring the. You can also, a little trick I was taught by Emmett Sparling, we can create a mask, we can go linear gradient, and we can bring a slight graduated filter so it brings your eyes to the subject. We can drop the exposure, bring the shadows down, bring the clarity down, And that will naturally, subconsciously lift your eyes because it's a bit darker. Your eyes want to go towards where it's lighter. And if it's a dark area, we're not going to want to look there. So you can just bring that down, and that sort of brings your eyes up to the girls. They're framed nicely. That center, you can see here, it's like Kia's probably like very close to being center there. And they're all looking good. And like I said, you could probably take out this light pole to create cleaner. And I know that this is blown out, but in this situation, fine. We had to shoot at that time. We could turn around and shoot the other way, but I like shooting into the sun. I like getting the rim glow from like shining from behind the head. I like shooting into the sun and looking for a sun flare. That's what I'm always looking for. There's a nice sun flare. And speaking of, let's just bring that out a little bit more so we can get that sun flare in. Just adds a little bit of cheekiness to it. And that's sort of it there. I mean, you could go so much into more depth. Bring the clarity down, vibrance up. So the main things you want to look at is composure. What is it that you want to achieve in the photo? Do you want, and look at the lens that you're shooting on, something wider, like 35mm, 24mm. Do you want the whole body in? You have to be intentional with the way you shoot. If you want the landscape in, pull back and make sure you're shooting a little bit lower so you get their feet in. A lot of people tend to shoot high, and I do it as well, and I have to constantly remind myself, like, bring the camera lower a little bit so we get their feet, so we're not cutting off the feet. So you have the wider landscape around them, because you don't need that much sky above them. The more important thing is to get their feet in and get their whole body in so you can create more of a more pleasing composition. If you come back into the editing room and you've cut their feet off, you're going to be pissed off. So just try and compose, look at the outline of your electronic viewfinder, take a look, and then just go, yup, this is good, press the shutter button. Try and compose every shot with intention. And then don't cut off the elbows, try not to cut off the limbs, give them a little bit of room to breathe around the body. I'm saying this with me cutting off the limbs, but the reason why I've cut them off here is because I've pulled in and I wanted to frame them, and I've just deliberately cut them off there because I'm framing them within this railing. So if you're out on the beach or a wider landscape, just be wary of that. And yeah, I think bring a little bit more blues to it. See, that creates a little bit nice of a pop because it's quite warm. So we want to just, it's nice to have these complementary colors also. Think of the complementary colors. If you're at the beach or in this situation, it's like a warmer glow. And then if you create the sky, like give it a little bit of saturation to create yellow and blue, complementary colors, it's going to look nice. If you're in a forest, you can get the subject to wear a red jacket. You've got all this green bush, green forest with a red jacket, they're going to pop. So think about the wardrobe that you want the talent to wear, so depending on what environment, so you can get the subject to pop. And then compose correctly, create the story, create the colors, nothing too intense. Just bring it to a nice, subtle, gradual edit, and repetition is key. The old saying is practice makes perfect. You just got to keep shooting, keep getting out there and pressing that shutter button. I'm a shutter slut and I go hard on the shutter, but I've got to tell myself I've got to become a little bit more intentional. So you too, try and become a little bit more intentional every time you push that shutter button. If there's any other edits you would like me to take a look at, or if you want any other edits, let me know. I know this is quite a quick one. It blows out, it's already 23 minutes. But let me know if you want me to edit any other photos on my Instagram or on YouTube or whatever, and I'll run through in depth in photo editing. I'm really keen on helping you guys out. So whatever photos you are curious that I've edited, and I'll just have a deep dive into the edit and show you why I've edited it like that, why I've composed like that, why we've chosen these colors of the wardrobe of what they're wearing. And there's a lot to it. There's a lot of different aspects to an image and the way I shoot. So, and it needs to be, if you want your work to stand out, you need to be thinking about everything in this shot. So let me know if there's any other edits you want me to do, and I'll take a further in-depth dive into those edits, into those photos. But this is just a quick one. If you want this preset, I can create a preset pack, JB, and I'll just put all these spirit fingers. I've got created these JB presets, so it might be something I will do in the near future, is create these presets so you can have a look at how I edit and get these base warm presets so you can get amongst it. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, share if it's helped, and I hope it has, but like I said, we can do another one more in depth. So we'll see you in the next one.